a live production here to discuss a few issues, some few events that are happening during this festive season here in Accra, Ghana. I've been joined in the studios by organizers of some a program that is very relevant to our community. That is Roots Global Agency. I've been joined by the founder, the Coulter Litzman, who is the founder of Global Agency, and also Naya Samuel, who is the creative director of Roots Global Agency. The discussions, will be very pertinent on Pan Africanism and music culture, developments here on the continent, and also most especially here in Ghana. Let me start the conversation with the Coulter Litzman. Hello, ladies. Good evening.
Hello. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. Let's start the conversation briefly. What is the inspiration behind the founding of Global Roots Agency? What is the vision behind it?
Yeah, for sure. So Roots Global Agency was founded in 2020. It started as a PR agency because our backgrounds and our experience are in public relations and media. We are both Caribbean American women. When I started the agency, it was with the intention to keep going deeper in the Caribbean and across the diaspora, so in Africa, Latin America. Most of the artists, the musicians, or the brands we work with all represent some part of the diaspora. And a lot of what we do, we are focused on connecting the dots. We're focused on building just the strength or strengthening the connection between these two communities. And that's really what we wanted to tap into when we started Roots Global Agency.
Now let's look at the motivation behind this program. Why, the location, the critical location is Accra, Ghana. Why do we choose this location?
I think for me personally, it stems from childhood. I'm a first generation American, so growing up, I have always been drawn to my personal roots. I've been drawn to Jamaica, I've been drawn to Africa. Music is in my blood. I've listened to a lot of conscious reggae. So even before I visited Africa, I felt this connection as a young child. The first time I came to Ghana was in 2019, and when I came here, it was always the intention of just what can I do? What can I do to bring my experience, my shared experience, but just also just like my knowledge and learn from other people in this continent and in this specific country. Africa, Ghana specifically, there's so much to offer. There's so much richness here, and I think we're in a pivotal time when we see that the country and the continent, people are paying attention to us, and by us I mean Black people, I mean African people, I mean the culture. So it just made sense for us to start here. It made sense for us to tap in where there are a lot of things happening right now.
Right. Let me come to you, Naya Samuel, who is the creative director of Roots Global Agency. Now let's look at why are we positioning such a program after that's December. All people across the world, most of them moving to Accra, Ghana, across the nation to experience Ghana and all of that. Why are we positioning this after December?
Yeah, absolutely. 30 December is important. Hanging out, partying, getting to know each other, it's important. It can be radical, it can be revolutionary. And so what we want to do is to be sure to supplement all of the enjoyment with intentional, educational, political programming, resources, resource sharing, with the hope and the intention to deepen our mutual understanding of each other as Africans, African descendants, Caribbeans, diasporans.
What are the enormous, expectations, residents want to expect? What are the things that will be happening in this course of these 2 weeks?
Yeah, sure. So lots of conversation, lots of deep conversations and deep work. The overall idea for this residency was to create an alternative space, again, to some of the late night activities. There's daytime activities too, right? But to create a space where folks can come and work. So while we do have specific programming throughout the 2 weeks that we're at Cloud9, which is in Osu, during that time, anyone who signs up to be a resident can take advantage of that space. They can use the Wi-Fi, they can host their meetings there, they can meet, they can collaborate, come meet other creatives there, and really try to build something meaningful together with the intention of returning, right, coming back, and continuing to come together.
Now, let me stay with you a bit further on, some Sinat Jiwa, who forms part of the theme, that you are celebrating for this program. Why are we celebrating? Why is it so significant to celebrate this personality?
Ooh, sorry.
It's okay.
I know, sorry. You can go ahead, sorry.
So Sina was a event producer and curator who worked diligently to champion for the diaspora. So through culture, through events, through connecting people. And her work was felt in so many ways, and she was so deeply personable, and she was just pure energy. So our hope with this programming is to bring a tenth of the intention that she moved with every day. So again, continuing to connect folks, bring people together, and see what this thing can be again, beyond we come once a year, we leave. No, what else are we building together? Sina was always building across diasporas, across countries, across cultures. So the hope is that we continue that legacy.
The Gottman, can you share with us some personalities, some astonishing attributes of this personality that you want to share with us?
Some personalities.
About Siwa.
So one thing that I remember the last time we saw Sina was actually a year ago. And when we met her, it was us all working on a separate project together, Wood and Wata. Shout out Lakeisha Ford, who also is a Jamaican American. And Sina has always been just warm and welcoming, and just ready to do the work, ready to lend a hand, ready to just tap in. To Naya's point about her just being a pivotal player around connecting diaspora, it was never a situation where CNOT would not be able or be willing to just see how we can make something happen. I remember we planned for this. We planted this seed a year ago, and we thought, of course, life is unexpected. We thought that we would be here today with CNOT. We thought that we would be activating today with CNOT. So just kind of extending that legacy and being able to continue building on what seed she planted, the work that she's already been doing, I think was important. They had a memorial for her earlier this year, and one commonality across the room and across people just speaking of her, the work she does, was just I don't think I can emphasize this enough, but just how warm and welcoming she was, how reassuring she was, how willing she was to just make sure we as a people, as a culture, just made it happen. And I think that's what sticks out to me the most. That's what resonates with me the most. It's just seeing her tap in all these different spaces across music, arts, and culture.
Let's talk about the theme. The theme for the program is, Pan-Africanism in practice. How does a theme like that honors, such a personality? You want to share something about that?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we're living it. We're doing it now. I think it's through our actions, it's through our conversation, it's through the experiences. And that's literally what she did. She curated these spaces, she curated experiences for people to connect, for people to continue building, for people to continue making sure that we're keeping Africa at the center, making sure that we're recognizing our culture, our people, our style, as the world continues to transcend and pay attention to what Africa is doing, whether it's through music, whether it's through education, whether it's through fashion, and whether it's through arts. So when you think about Pan-Africanism in practice, that's literally it. What are you doing beyond talking about it? One thing that Naya and I are intentional about with this residency and just how we show up and work is that when we come to this continent, we don't want to flex our privilege. We're aware that we're Americans, but we're also aware that we're first generation. We know our roots, we understand where we're coming from. And to the point of Dirty December, it is so amazing that you have this space at the end of the year for people to come back home, and by home I mean Ghana. But beyond the enjoyment, what else can we do? How can we be mindful of how we're pouring into this country, how we're pouring into the continent? And I think what we're doing now with the spaces we're curating, that's one, how we keep CNOT's legacy alive, but then also how we stay true to what it means to be or do Pan-Africanism in practice.
Now let's talk about the legacy of Sinachiwa. How does it reflect when it comes to Naya? How does it reflect the elements of this program? You were earlier mentioning something, about SINA. I wanted to re-emphasize that.
Sure. Well, we definitely have a wide range of what's falling under Pan-Africanism in practice. You'll find cultural experts on our panel. You'll find political leaders, as you know, right? So I think it's also showing, again, the breadth and the depth of what we can do together was a lot of what she did. A lot of her work was within the cultural space. And so, again, showing the full impact that can have. Yeah, so I think continuing in that way.
It's an insightful conversation here on Pan African Television's exclusive interview here on Pan African Television, live across some 46 African countries and some parts of Yoruba satellites. My name is Stanley Koblaku. Now, this evening we are talking about a very significant program that will be coming out this week. Already started last year on 30th December. Let me come to you, founder Samuel, about what Ghanaians, people who want to join this residency and all of that, what specifically should they expect?
I think they should expect accessibility first and foremost. One thing that I realize is that when we come here, the cost of inflation, just like inflation in general, is crazy. I'm aware that when foreigners are traveling to the country, the price goes up across for locals, for businesses, and in this concentrated time of the month, it's nice, right, that you can pour into businesses, but beyond that, what else can we do, right? So when we curated this residency, we did not want to charge or at least make it affordable for local creatives. We also want to connect the local creatives and just local people with our international key players. Tanaya's point about the type of people we have on the panel, the type of people that we're collaborating with, these are global players, whether they're in Africa or in the States, but us creating this residency is an opportunity for them to connect, for them to hold space in the same room where you wouldn't normally be able to have that opportunity. Connection is literally the epicenter or like the foundation of what we want to do, and I think that that's been a theme when you look at festivals like Afrofuture, when you look at other brands and organizations doing the work as well. So just making sure that anyone that is a Ghanaian that is living here on the ground and people that are tapping in or visiting, they have an opportunity to build.
Now let's talk about, what long term, would this residency have on participants here in Accra, Ghana? Some other people want to join across the nation. What long term goal do you have in there?
I think the first thing is just building the network in the community. So it's like once you join this residency, once you become a resident, you have access to the people we have access to.
Exactly.
We have very strong relationships from musicians to companies to brands to individuals. We're tapped in different ways, and we want to make that available to the people that are a part of this community. So that's the first and foremost. I think long term also it's like hopefully we can build this residency in other countries across Africa and the Caribbean. We want to bring this back to the States, but when we're bringing this back to the States, ideally in the future, we're bringing Ghanaians with us back to the States to experience what this residency looks like and vice versa. Honestly, just making it as big as possible in the sense where we're growing with intention, but we're also connecting these people to the right people, putting the right people in the room with other people.
Let's talk about the special event that is coming out tomorrow.
Yeah.
How are you so excited about that?
Oh my gosh. So we kicked off on Saturday, and Saturday's discussion was around just like decolonizing or centering femme movement across African and Caribbean cultures. So we called it Fair Slackness, Deconstructing Femme Movement. That was a two-part series where we had a discussion on what femme movement looked like in African and Caribbean cultures, and then a body movement class yesterday. We took a break today so that we can recoup, but when we come back tomorrow to Pan-Africanism in Practice, it's a full day of programming. We have 4 different panels. The first panel, we will look at what Pan-Africanism in Practice looks like. We have different panelists that are business owners, that the co-founder of Birthright Africa, the founder of Assorted Chalet. These are all diasporans who are coming here, who are doing the work, who are building, who are connecting, and then having them speak to their experience, their expertise, and what Pan-Africanism in Practice looks like. The second panel, we want to show the political lens and just like what organizing looks like, and then just some OGs, to be quite frank, in the space from Kwesi Pratt, of course, right? And then AAPRP, and then Daruba bin Wahad, who is a former Black Panther. So having their voices just share what does it look like for us as diasporans to continue building, to continue connecting, and continue doing the work not only politically, socially, and culturally. And then we'll close out with EBA Annie. She is a cultural writer, a Nigerian American who has always been doing the work across music, across art, across style, across fashion, but just like really intentional about building the voices of our people. So tomorrow we'll essentially just be focusing on the title, Pan-Africanism in Practice, with people that are literally doing the work on the ground every day. This is what they've dedicated their life to, and we want to lift that up. We want to uplift that.
I also think it's worth mentioning that this is a really important time politically across the world, right?
Yes.
We're witnessing the fangs of imperialism almost everywhere that you look, but especially in places like Hassa, like the Congo, right? So I think the idea is to build, again, that mutual self-awareness and understanding, especially for those of us coming from the belly of the beast, so that we can come and move correctly and really create something meaningful while we are here.
Now let's talk about even the program tomorrow that is coming up tomorrow. How will such a program shape discourse about, organizing, unionizing, and all of that on the continent? We have several issues all across nations.
Absolutely.
On the continent. What do you make of that?
So some of the things that we'll address, bigger picture, as I mentioned, anti-imperialism, we really want to get into, and solidarity, right? How are our struggles aligned? How can we see our struggles in each other's and our freedom bound in each other's? And then I think more granularly, thinking about, this is an election year coming up, right? It's an important year here politically, and a lot of people coming in, right, may not be super aware of exactly what that entails. So again, I think giving folks, and especially Ghanaians, the stage to deep dive into that and provide that context.
I'm loving the conversation this evening here on Pan-African Television. You're watching us across some 46 African countries. I'm in conversation with some organizers of, Roots Global Agency, which is organizing some very pertinent program here in Accra, Ghana. Let me come to you, founder Lickman, on some, the program tomorrow. What outcomes specifically would you have? Would you expect intentions? What would you expect that to have as outcomes of this program?
I want it to be felt. I want people to know that the work we're doing is not just for show. And it is literally impact. Like, we're trying to have global social impact. So when you walk in and you are part of a discussion or you attend one of the panels, I want you to walk away feeling inspired, feeling ready to work, feeling ready to have more discussions, connect with people in that room. I also want, as far as an outcome, I think that's really it, just like really feeling it. Like, I want people to walk away feeling like the work we're doing is important and it matters.
And hopefully feeling like they now belong to this bigger Roots resident community. Because as you mentioned, right, where do we want to go? Everywhere. Everywhere there's Black folks, that's where we want to be. So I think creating this global network is the goal.
That's a good point you brought up. Going back to just like the connectivity of our culture, right?
Right.
We have so many common threads. Naya's Trinidadian, I'm Jamaican American, you're Ghanaian.
Yes.
But then from like nuances like language or food or mannerisms and how we're raised and how we show up, I don't think that's spoke about enough. I know in America specifically, we have Black Americans that feel like they can't connect to Africans when it's like essentially we are the same. So that is another thing that I would love for us to take away from this experience, is that we are the same. Whether you're coming from the Caribbean, whether you're coming from Latin America, and you are a Black person in Latin America, whether you're coming from America, if you are here on the continent, we are one and the same. And I want you to see that thread. We want you to see that thread across spaces, across time, across locations.
And I think part of what makes we like this question, part of what makes across the location so important to us especially is this season where so many different folks from so many corners of the world are coming together. We have a unique opportunity to really continue again to build something together powerful, meaningful, and long-lasting.
How do we, get to join, be participants of this program? People watching across 46 African countries, even here in Ghana. How do they join?
That's amazing.
Well, our Instagram for me is the most accessible way, so you can look us up on Instagram at Roots Global Agency. There you can see all of our programming offerings, our Roots residents, who are all of our speakers, talent, and participators. And you can sign up for either individual programming. As we mentioned, our program is accessible. It's open, right? But then if you do want to become a resident, there's a different way that you can sign up to do that as well. And of course, locals pay way less.
Yes, yes,
I
yes.
think that's important to mention. Yes.
I mean, that's good news.
Yes.
Let me come to you finally on some future plans on beyond the inaugural residency. Do you have any intentions of expanding such a program?
Absolutely. Our vision is so big, and I think like right now we're just scratching the surface. This was our first time. Again, by nature, like our background is PR, right? So a lot of the work we've done, it's been behind the scenes, working for other people, and we're also creatives. We're organizers. We have a voice, and we want to put that at the forefront as well as we continue to do the work that we do. So we are going to be back next year. Again, this is just us scratching the surface, so we do want this experience to be even deeper, even bigger, even more complex next year and in the future.
And what's important to us in this work is a familiar understanding of the region that we're trying to serve.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
always catering and positioning the programming to reflect what's happening where we're going. So what we present in Accra may not be what we present in Kingston, may not be what we present in Scarborough. So listening and learning and holding space and being together.
Let's talk about some of the supports, some beneficial things that the communities that are engaged in such a program would get from this organizing and all of that. I was earlier asking you that question. You want to comment on that?
I hope at bare minimum you heard something that you found interesting, you met someone that you found interesting, and at absolute maximum, I hope something is awakened inside of you, right? So a curiosity, again, about what are all of these groups coming together? What can we do? What can this look like? And what can I do in my own practice, in my own day-to-day work outside of this residency to continue building towards this mission of global solidarity and mutual understanding?
Right. Lickman, let me come to you finally. We have to wrap up on this conversation. Your final words, Lickman.
My final words are thank you. I think I'm full of gratitude right now for even having the opportunity to be here, and not just like in this room, but in this country. And I want to continue learning. I want to continue building. I want to continue connecting with people in this country. Every time we come here, like Naya said, we're not just in the mainstream spaces. We're going up in the hills. We're traveling to the northern or the eastern region. We're spending time. So I'm just so grateful to be able to say that I've touched down in Ghana and that I've been able to like plant my feet in this soil, and now I can use my own influence or network to do something for this country. So thank you.
You're welcome. Your final words, someone.
Very similar, yeah. Gratitude, absolutely. Every time I come here, it's something that is very hard to describe, and especially heading back to the West, it's something that you feel it getting further away almost, right? It's like the closer I get to JFK, it's like, oh. So my hope is that we can offer something that is useful to people.
Exactly. Right, thank you so much, Dakota and Lickman Nayasamo,
Thank you.
who is the creative director of Roots Global Agency, and also Dakota Lickman is the founder of Roots Global Agency. This has been a conversation briefly about some stunning, organizing program that will be happening because of the week here in Accra. Specifically, you can check out, their social media handles. I want you to re-emphasize that.
No problem. You can follow us at rootsglobalagency.com.
Right.
There you'll find our link to get tickets or RSVP to the panels, or you can visit our website, rootsglobalagency.com as well.
Great. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having us.
Super. Thank you so much
Thank you for having us.
Super. Thank you so much for watching us. Yes, Pan African Television. We'll wrap up on this conversation. Please stay with us for more details.